Hello and welcome to episode 196 of the Filmmakers Podcast. Yeah! This is a podcast where we talk filmmaking, from indie films to studio films and everything in between. How to get them made, how to make them, and how to try not to F it up, in a very, very humble opinion. I am Giles Alderson, a writer, director and a producer.
I'm Robbie McCain, director-producer.
And today, we're delighted to tell you we have the fantastic actor and screenwriter Jordan Waller. Now, Jordan has recently released his fantastic film Two Heads Creek, which he wrote and starred in. And also, he's written Off the Rails, which is a sperm donor to lesbian parents comedy drama, which stars Judi Dench, Kelly Preston, Sally Phillips, and Jenny Seagrove. Oh my gosh, he also is the star of ITV's Victoria, where he plays Lord Alfred Paget. What do we learn from Jordan today, Robbie?
You learn all sorts of things from Jordan. He's got a pretty interesting sense of humour.
If you know him, you know anyway.
There's a lot of testicle chat.
There's a lot of testicle chat.
You'll have to listen to find out what that means. But he talks about all sorts of things like writing your own work versus reworking a script that someone else has worked on, like collaborating versus working on your own, and the different challenges that each of those routes hold.
Absolutely. He also talks about approaching talent and getting in at an early stage. He has some great advice for attracting big talent. He also talks about maintaining focus in screenwriting and having a say in the edit.
And he also talks about instinct versus structure. So should you be that sort of methodical writer in terms of knowing all of the different rules and conventions, or should you just go out there and write what you want?
So there you go, all that coming up for you on this episode. And I am joined by my co-host Christian James, who can't be here to do the intro right now, but myself and Christian and Jordan Waller had a fantastic chat, as you will hear coming up. But Two Heads Creek, which is out now, directed by Jesse O'Brien and produced by Jane Chard and Judd Talyard. It stars Catherine Wilder and Jordan Waller himself. It's amazing. It really is. Signature Entertainment picked it up in the UK and the Horror Collective in the US, so you know it's going to be good. Obviously, the Horror Collective distributed The Dare, and Signature Entertainment distributed Arthur and Merlin. So we're in good hands, people.
So, Giles, your feature film details have been announced. Do you want to spill the beans?
Well, luckily for us and for you everywhere in the world, well, probably don't care, but my latest film has been announced on Variety. I'm over the moon to announce it is called The Stranger in Our Bed. It does star Samantha Bond from Downton Abbey and obviously Miss Moneypenny and all the James Bonds with Pierce Brosnan. Mm-hmm. It also stars Ben Lloyd Hughes, who starred in A Serial Killer's Guide to Life, which is a film I produced, which is also out now, which Stanton Cousins-Rowe directed. It's so cool. Really, really cool film. He's in Industry, which is on BBC 2's 9:15 Tuesdays at the moment, which you can watch. And it does star as our lead, as Charlotte, Emily Berrington, who is, you'll know her from Humans or the In-Betweeners 2 movie. She's amazing. We are 2 weeks in of the shoot and it's going really well. Also in the cast, we've got Joseph Marcel from The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Nina Wadia from Aladdin, Andy Osho from I May Destroy You, Bart Edwards, who's in The Witcher at the moment, but also in Singapore Grip, and he starred as my lead in The Dare, which is out now. If you didn't know, you can go watch it pretty much around the world. And also Paul Cesar, who was one of the leads in The Detectorists on BBC, I believe. And obviously it's written by Samantha Lee Howe, who is it's basically based on a best-selling novel by Samantha Lee Howe, who's also written the screenplay, and she's been wonderful to work with. It's been wonderful to work with her, adapting that as well and getting that to, you know, it's just been wonderful working with someone who understands what I need as a director to work with her, work with a novelist to get that into the right shape for filming, and she's been fantastic, so I'm over the moon with that as well. We've already underway with production, as you know. Terry Dwyer is producing along with Dean Fisher, and it's going really well. Has been announced.
Fantastic.
And I'm over the moon.
So you've wrapped at the big kind of Northampton Manor House, and you're now shooting in London. So
yes, we have. So within 2 weeks of the Manor House, it's gone really well. There was so much to shoot. There was the big ending. There's all sorts of stuff going going on. We had to dig a grave at one point, and that was the only day it rained, really, right? Because we were inside a lot. So, which obviously, as you know, when I was doing Arthur and Merlin, it rained every day when I was shooting it this time last year. This time it didn't rain at all, apart from the night before we needed to be in the grave. But we did get it all shot, and you're always compromising and not getting certain shots you need, but I'm really pleased with what we've got. My DP Richard Swingles just sent me some screen grabs of the drive he's got with all the footage and just put a little colour on it, and they look incredible. Robbie, you've just seen them.
They look amazing.
And,
fantastic lighting, fantastic art direction and production design. It's looking very sumptuous, and can't wait to see it.
Yeah, one funny thing that did happen, which is kind of difficult, when we were shooting down by, we've got like I said, a stream running through this gorgeous manor house, and it was dark, and our scripty, brilliant Matt Steen, he's such a lovely guy, and he's been such a brilliant script supervisor throughout this program. I was walking ahead of him with the monitor, and I jumped over the little sort of stream pit, and I heard this splosh behind me, and I was like, what? I turned, and his script, with all his script notes, was flying through the air, and it just plopped in the middle of the little
one place
stream.
where there was water.
The one place where there was water.
And tiny square foot kind of long water stream.
Exactly. It was this horrible moment of going, oh my God, all his notes, everything. So for the next 2 days, all the radiators were covered in his scripts with all his notes, praying to God we could still read them. But what I've learned, again, is that your brain has to be working. As a director, on a film like this, your brain has to be 100%. It has to be working 100%. You haven't got a moment when it can't be. So even in the mornings when I was feeling pretty rough most days, and you're getting up, your head's banging, you've got a big day ahead, and every day was massive. You can't stop. You can't let it affect you. You have to just pile in and go, right, what is first? Okay, get through that bit, and hopefully have a few Baroccas and coffees, and hopefully your brain is all right, because you need it to be on. You really do, when you've got a lot to shoot. So that is The Stranger in Our Bed. Go on to my Twitter and my Instagram @Giles Alderson, and you will find a load of pictures behind the scenes. Now I'll be announcing it properly. I'll be doing pictures more of the cast and the crew who are involved. But honestly, I've been over the moon with everyone involved. It's been incredible. I just hope the next 2 weeks are as good, and we will have a really good film. Fingers crossed.
I'm sure of it, man. I'm sure of it. So for all of you Patreon subscribers out there, if you're on the Patreon, if you're enjoying the bonus episodes, we've got another one for you this week, and that's featuring our guest from last week, Jim Hart, screenwriter of Hook, Contact, and of course Bram Stoker's Dracula, directed by Francis Ford Coppola. And he talks all about finding the best place to write, and he's had a lot of experience of writing, in different kind of contexts, in different film sets, in different environments, and he gives kind of his best tips of how to get focused. All of you screenwriters out there, check it out.
What more do you want? That is amazing. Thank you so much for listening last week to the episode with Jim Hart, obviously the screenwriter extraordinaire. If you haven't yet, do go and listen. And thank you so much for listening. It does mean the world to us. If you do like this, do tell your pals. That's how we grow. We're doing this for the love. And if you really do like this, or if you just like it, go on to iTunes and give us a 5-star review. That means the world to us as well.
Yeah, and that bonus ep is on our Patreon, which is patreon.com/The Filmmakers Podcast.
Support us. So, Robbie, let's get to it. This week's episode.
Oh, it's a cracker. It's a cracker with Jordan Waller. It's a bit silly if you like that, but there's obviously some great advice there as well. So,
well, of course you do. There's great advice, but there's also fun, and that's what our listeners like.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
Myself, Christian James, Jordan Waller, talking about Two Heads Creek and Jordan's wonderful career. Enjoy.
As your older sister, you don't belong here. You're not a butcher. You can't butch.
Just a minute.
You are a completely useless human being.
Piss off back to Poland.
I kochałabym jej.
She loved us both as if we were her own. What does that mean?
Because we weren't. This is our real mother.
Mary Pierce, Two Heads Creek.
Good eye.
Our final destination in Australia.
Two Heads Creek.
You want to go to Two Heads Creek?
It looks like this town is stuck in the 70s.
There's something not quite right about this place, Anna.
You're all gonna die!
done, everyone. That was a drill, and you all did very well.
We're looking for our mother, actually.
She left us years ago. Do you not see anything wrong with these people?
No, I just think they're Australian.
Was that her in the coffin? Yeah, no, no, yeah.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no?
Yeah, yeah.
No, yeah?
No, yeah, no, yeah.
Yeah, no?
Nah.
I knew it.
Hello, Jordan. Can you hear us?
That's a close-up.
I can hear both of you, yeah.
I love that you're smoking in your own house. It's so rare to see
It's
that.
important, isn't it? Well, I feel like I own it, so I might as well smoke in it. I know.
It's true though. If you've got your own house, you can do what you want, right?
Do you smoke?
Sometimes in the garden, I'll have a secret cheeky one, but it's very rare. It's rare. But yeah, you don't want to be. What I found though is when I was painting, I'd smoke a little bit, but then it would get into the paint and it would then smell because it was such a weird thing. Yeah. So I couldn't, if you're painting, don't smoke. I don't know what it is, but it just seems to stay.
That's actually really good because I'm about to repaint everything. So that's really good advice because I thought it would be quite sexy to, get in my bikini and have a fag in my mouth doing it.
It's true. You think you're sexy. Yeah. You got your top off, paint everywhere, but no,
exactly.
Little tip for the painters out there. How are you, Jordan? You all right?
I'm great. Yeah. I've just been doing lots of housework today. So I'm a little bit, it depresses me doing housework. I've done nothing creative, which is weird. So I'm quite anxious, actually, which is why I'm smoking.
Which makes sense because if I don't do something creative, and CJ, you must be the same, you just get that kind of I need to do something creative. I need to do something, whether it's send an email or watch something or do something or write something down. Isn't that weird as creatives that we get that? We feel like we need to punish ourselves.
It is very self-lacerating, isn't it? Yeah. You feel like you're not being productive. And because you don't have any structure to your day, you're like, well, actually, this isn't a weekend. It's a Wednesday. What the hell am I doing? But I'm kind of getting used to that. Bit by bit. But I feel so guilty all the time.
So I'm glad. It's good to hear because I get this as well. I know what you mean about that sort of that guilt of not doing something productive I know exactly where you're coming from. It's a strange thing. So you have to sit in front of your desktop and make something happen. Maybe but that guilt keeps us going, right? That's why we do the thing we do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, it does. It does. Although you've got to be a little bit mad, haven't you, to go yourself at a career. You've got to have a bit of balls, and there's got to be a psychosis behind you, driving you, and there definitely is.
Isn't that why the creative industry has, this is a really bad opener for a joyous podcast, but apparently the creative industry has a really high rate of depression because if you're sort of prone to being creative, you're also very, very prone to having a depressive gene in your brain.
I think we should touch on this. I think it's true. I think that we go through really crazy periods. Don't forget what we do as creatives and performers, Jordan, yourself. And we go through these moments of a huge down when you're not doing anything, you can't get any work, nothing's happening. And you work your ass off to get there. And then you have that one glimmer, that little moment of maybe a premiere or maybe when it goes on TV or, whatever it is. And suddenly people go, oh, I saw you and you had your thing and your film was great. And then it goes again and you start again from this well. Why do we do this?
Well, it's a very short-lived erection, isn't it? Basically, the whole experience. But, you get hard again and then it's great and you're ready to go.
That's so true. So true. You just take a bit of Viagra and it's time to go again.
Exactly.
So myself and CJ are directors. CJ has made a movie in a similar vein to yours. He's made 3, actually. Fanged Up being his latest. And Two Heads Creek was a very similar film for me in terms of that wonderful dark comedy vibe where you're going down a certain route and it twists and turns and take these lovely sort of journey that films can do for you. So yeah, that was one of the main reasons I wanted to talk to you. And not only that, but Signature, who are distributing Two Heads Creek in the UK, distribute my Arthur and Merlin movie, and the Horror Collective, who distributed it in the USA, distributed my Dare movie. So it's all like a little close family. So I thought for that reason, it'd be perfect to talk to you and your journey. Isn't that interesting? I like that. I like the small little worlds that we create. Obviously, this podcast, we talk about how things get made, how we go from literally sitting in our rooms like we are now, coming up with a seed of an idea, and then it becoming something. People can watch it in a movie theatre or at the moment at home. And obviously for you, that journey's been really interesting because yours is from the acting side. You've specifically gone, well, I'm an actor, I know, perhaps I'll write my own work. Was that what happened for you? Is that what your journey was? Because you've written shorts, you've now written another feature as well called Off the Rails. And was that your journey with Two Heads Creek? Were you like, I want to write my own stuff and create my own work?
Well, basically how I went about it was that the acting stuff I just found so difficult, and I couldn't wait around all the time waiting for work. And like we were just talking about, that kind of mad drive you have just to create all the time. I don't know how most actors who only act can actually kind of bear to exist without kind of constantly doing something. So you've got to find something else. I think, especially if you're an actor, you've got to find some other interest. Otherwise, everything just all your eggs are in that one basket. And for me, I just started writing things as soon as I left university because I just didn't get the work that I wanted straight away. And actually, the way that both films ended up getting made was that I wrote a play and I had Rebecca Front read it. Brilliant actor. She and Jenny Galloway did this reading of it in a cabaret bar in the centre of London. And I basically just invited all the theatre people in the world, and none of them came.
Standard,
because there's just no money, they got no time, and they're kind of just disinterested, I suppose, in some ways, in what I had to say anyway. And I invited loads of film producers, TV people as well. And the film producers, weirdly, were the ones who all came, and I got both gigs just from doing this one reading. And the play I wrote was complete shit, but it had...
It must have been good enough. I mean, the fact that it got picked up, but now maybe looking back, you think it wasn't as good as it could be, but that's quite interesting. We, again, put our own work down. That's quite fascinating, isn't it?
How did you decide who to invite, and how did you, what was your process to getting people there? What was your game plan in terms of I'm putting this thing on? How did you work out who you're going to invite there, and sort of what reasons? I know it's cast your mind back if you can.
Yeah. I think it was literally just a case of sitting down with the person who was sort of producing this evening, and just going on Google and just finding as many independent film producers as I could. I can't really remember the actual strategy that we used, but we ended up coming up with this massive list. I mean, we sent out, it must have been close to, 400 invitations to theatre.
Wow.
I imagine that probably only 40 of them came. I filled out the rest of the audience with friends and family to give it that atmosphere. I think the only reason I got it, I got the 2 gigs from that, is because I clearly, as an actor, had some sort of instinct for dialogue, and that was all it was, because actually there was no structure to this play. It was a sort of crazy idea, basically just 2 people talking. But I think there was a sort of funny zest to the dialogue that people picked up on, and it meant that one producer wanted to just wanted to work with me on something, and another producer had an existing project. This is the Off the Rails one, which was in development for about 10 years, I think, beforehand. And because it was about women of that age, he thought I might be able to write for women of that age, which is why I got that gig. So that was I felt a bit of a fraud. I feel like a bit of a maverick coming into the writing side of things. But you've kind of got to, you've got to think out of the box. I don't know how it was for you guys getting these things made. It'd be interesting to hear.
Yeah, and you hear this a lot of people just kind of slam dunk on their first attempt. But I think sometimes if you read all the Sid Field books in the world, I don't know that's any more an advantage. It just teaches you can sometimes overlearn or overthink something and never end up writing anything because you're never good enough. Sometimes just being, writing something, it getting picked up, and now you're forced into, or not forced, but you're up and running. It's great. You've learned not to overthink it. It's better just to make something and not second guess yourself or chase perfection, which doesn't exist. So in many ways, I get it. You know, everyone suffers from the imposter syndrome in some way, shape, or form, no matter what you do. But no, there must be something there to get. Well, there clearly is something there to get picked up in this way. And I think you're fortunate to not have, read every sort of self-help book out there on writing, and then you know.
But I have now. I have now read it. That's the thing. I have obviously caught up.
And I think CJ's right there. Sometimes you can get bogged down in that when you first start. And for me, I was an actor for years, and I got frustrated too. And I put plays on, and I really did everything I could to get myself, you know, noticed, and wrote short films and wrote TV pilots and whatever I could. I didn't know structure, or I just had an instinct. And I think when you first start, that instinct is your gold dust, because you understand story. We've understood it since we were babies, since we were kids, when they said, you know, Hansel and Gretel and Cinderella, beginning, middle and end. We get where the story beats should be enough to go, someone will tell you if it's not. And then you go, oh, okay, I'll just move it around. And then when you start really getting into those books, and it's fine, they're brilliant and some amazing advice, but sometimes you can go too far. Go, well, the midpoint has to be here, going into the third bit has to be here, but actually I don't know. Yes, sure, but also sometimes it's just good to throw shit at the wall and see what sticks, you know.
You guys must have read that the one that everyone's read, the Blake Snyder book,
Save the Cat.
And
yeah,
it's just like and I just remember certain things from it, which is like, if on page 9 the protagonist doesn't look left and say, I am then I just throw the script down and shoot the writer. It's just like, what are you talking? It can't be like that. But weirdly, you do. You know, I watched the film Parasite again the other night, and it is extraordinary how, even though it's such a unique film, and it feels so original, it kind of does adhere weirdly to that Blake Snyder formula in a way. I think it's more subtle than that. It doesn't have these sort of massive fulcral turns that he talks about, but it is there is some magic kind of Aristotelian structure out there that we're all kind of after, and that film, which, you know, did so well, clearly adhered to it in some way, which was surprising, but probably made it so brilliant.
I think that sort of, like you say, sometimes it helps when you're stuck and you're in the trenches and you're on page 70 and you're going, oh my God, you know, I've still got another, I'm not even a third through this. It's kind of good to go back, right, okay, let's get rid of this. We need to get to a certain point by this. So it's sometimes good to have that structure, but I know so many writers and so many people have been on the podcast who have different techniques and journeys. And I think it's whatever's right for you. If you find that you need the books and you need to go by page 10, I have to have had an inciting incident. Or if you go, actually, I don't give a shit about that, I'm writing a story and it might be good enough, I'll rework it later, then fine. It's whatever works for you to get to the end and give it to a producer for them to help you make it better, or a writer friend. That's my advice for any writer, is just write it. Don't get bogged down too much. Please try not to anyway. Otherwise, I don't know about you, Jordan, but the amount of scripts I've written that I've literally left at page 70, I haven't come back to them.
What is it about page 70? It is that page, isn't it? Where it's just like, oh, I've given up. This is such promise, and actually, it's just gone nowhere. And I just want to kill myself. What is it? 70?
I'm terrible for starting. So why don't you chaps send me over your page 70s, and I'll finish them off. That's how we'll do it.
Well, that's what I like to work with other people. I know you write on your own, Jordan, and that's amazing. But for me, I love collaborating, because that way I can get stuck on page 70 and literally chuck it over to CJ or whoever, and they go, oh, no worries, I'll just do that scene. Or they'll get stuck on a bit and I'll go, I'll write that scene. I like having another voice in my head. How do you deal with doing it on your own? How do you deal with just trying to find that through path?
Again, to interrogate my psychopathy, I always write in my pants in my bedroom, and I talk to myself.
Are they lucky pants?
No, I mean, sometimes the pants don't even go in. I sometimes get a ball out just for inspiration. I have lots of voices in my head, and I'm just constantly talking to myself. I have tried working with other people, but I don't think I always get I'm not very good at brainstorming with other people, but I do actually think that maybe that kind of John Cleese way of being in the same room, invested in your little world and then passing it on, like you said, I think could work. I just think I have to explore. I haven't found the right person. I tried collaborating with an ex of mine, and it was just sort of so disastrous. I've never gone back. But maybe not always the best idea.
No, I don't know if it's partner stuff is necessarily what you want to, that could end to a sort of most relationship. But I think if it's a good friend, and I also, and this is, putting it out there, and again, I'm not a lawyer, but do have it in writing. If you're going to work with someone else, just put it in writing, even if it's on a napkin. We're working on this together. That way, no one can get burnt or ripped off, or you can come to an agreement if someone's working more than the other person to say, well, I'm doing a lot more than you. Sure, but just have it written down, because then there's no worries later on when you need to do all your paperwork. Who's got the option? Who owns it?
You're completely right. That is,
and even if it's just you, like I say, if it's just you writing it, do your own option. Just have a letter on your own letterhead saying, I own this, I'm writing it. Because that is what you need when you give it to a producer or a distributor, or money actually exchanges hands. They need a chain of title, it's called. And that chain of title is literally you saying, I own this work. So if you do it from the very beginning, you might as well. Why not? It's yours then.
I think most people who are starting out don't realize how important those contracts are and actually what you're selling half the time. I mean, when I was starting out, I think I was just so happy to be talking to producers that literally I would have given them a body part, if they just gave me a look.
The other bollock, yeah.
The other bollock, exactly. The unlucky bollock, exactly. But it's so important that you properly go through that with a tooth comb and really have someone explain to you, well, what does this mean? Because the ownership of an idea is really muddy territory, and it's caused a lot of problems for me up to this point. I'm only kind of 4 or 5 years through it.
And what kind of problems have you had? Actually, that's interesting. What have you ran into?
I mean, I've just had brilliant experiences in the last 2 films I've made, so it's nothing to do with them. But I think just with other things that are in the pipeline, I realize I've signed over formats and ideas to producers, and it's just, and in a way it's fine and it's standard sometimes, but Michaela Cole, for example, she's just performed a real coup de food, because she basically forewent that massive check from Netflix so that she could keep the ownership rights for the BBC contract. And I think hats off to her, because that actually takes real balls to have, complete faith in what you're writing. And now she'll be far richer for it. It's just, it's difficult having that self-confidence and really knowing that what you make is valuable, even if it's your first thing. And in a way, if it is your first thing and you're more kind of insistent upon those contractual agreements and you seem to know what you're talking about, you'll get a lot more respect from the person who's buying it from you. And it's a difficult bit of confidence to get, because I think we're so racked with insecurity and we kind of don't believe in what we're doing so much that you just need to kind of, that's why having an agent is good, because it allows that business acumen just to be outsourced and you don't have to go into it. And you just have to realize that there's nothing more uncreative than thinking about contracts. And it's something that, I just don't want to do. And I don't want to talk about it as well. I don't know what you guys are like with it.
It's true. Well, it can sully the relationships. But by the way, everyone, that Michaela Cole program is called I May Destroy You. If you haven't seen it, it is out in America as well now. And it's on, what's it on here? It's on BBC, isn't it? I think it's BBC.
And it's HBO, I think.
HBO have taken it in America. But me and CJ know the director, Sam Miller, who directed it with her, some of the episodes. And he's fascinating stories. I think he's on episode
really early,
14 or something of this podcast, which is like 3 years ago, really early. So it's before he'd made that. But I see him quite regularly, and he said Michaela Cole's a force of nature. So when she was like, I'm doing it this way, and Netflix can go do one. But basically they offered a massive amount of money to go and do it over there and their way, and she just said, no, I want to do it this way. And like you said, Jordan, fair play to her, because I think it's really difficult when you first start. You've got an idea, you're desperate to get anything made, especially as an actor and especially as a creative. You're like, I don't know anyone. Okay, just throw your stuff out there. And as Jordan said, it's so important to have contracts in place, and if you haven't got an agent, learn what that contract is, understand it from podcasts like this, but from amazing books. Just learn what a contract is. Find a lawyer friend, or ask me, I'll help you. It's true though. This is why we're doing this, to help filmmakers. So all the mistakes we've learned, hopefully you won't make them as well. So now you'd written a few plays and you had it performed, and they said, right, okay, we really want you to come and write this, a couple of things at the time. So you were kind of commissioned in a way to write Off the Rails. Was Two Heads Creek at the same time, or was Off the Rails a very separate, right, could you come and write this?
So Two Heads Creek, yeah. So Off the Rails was more of a straight commission, because I was a remedial writer on that, so I had a script to work with. I see. I made it my own. I was given a lot of kind of, creative. Bill Kenwright, who's the producer, he's quite a very famous theatre producer as well.
He's massive, Bill Kenwright, huge shows.
Yeah. And he owns the football club he always talks about with me.
Everton,
yeah. He's always on about that. He's a lovely man. And have you met him?
I met him once, and he said to me, are you a defender? First thing he said. And I went, I'm a striker, really. And he went, shame, I could have signed you for Everton. Because you're tall and whatever. It's so random. I was like, all right. Yeah. I'd have taken that signing, though.
Did you say, I could be a defender? I mean,
I did, yeah. So I've played in defence a few times. I think he was making small talk, though, CJ. I don't think he was being serious. Yeah. He wasn't watching me play, sadly. So, so that's really interesting. How is it taking someone else's script and reworking that as your own? Because it's almost like taking from a book, isn't it? It's a novel, right? How do I adapt this and bring my own work to it? And will people be happy with that? How did you go about that?
I think the difficulty is that when you have something that they have already, there'll be parts of it which they love and parts of it which they don't. And you're always trying to navigate through those. So you've got to keep certain, I found you had to keep certain parts or make certain parts work that they love, sequences, but weren't working structurally or whatever. So it was a bit more technical, but I kind of, again, I just recourse to snappy dialogue and hope that, and it kind of did carry it through and kind of hopefully gave it a kind of more distinct voice. But to be honest with you, it does take pretty amazing producers to take punts on young, inexperienced writers. I mean, we are cheaper, I suppose, and that's the one good thing. But Bill really, I owe him an awful lot because he's given me an awful lot of opportunity. So it was, and the creative scope was huge. So I didn't really feel like I was enchained too much by that previous script. But it was totally different to writing an original idea where as a writer, you're basically just God until the first day of principal, in which case then you're just totally forgotten about and no one cares, wishes you were dead. Yeah.
Totally. Adam and Eve come along and just take the apple away and that's it. It's right. God, no more. You've just messed up. You know what I mean? It's true. You get that taken away, and that's really fascinating as the writer. Just to jump back slightly on that, what was your process then from taking someone else's script like that? If you don't mind going into a little bit more for our listeners out there. Did you then, restructure stuff? Did you put notes up on your wall? How did you actually dive into it? Because it's quite daunting, and actually you must have been shitting yourself as well, or getting this right, I suppose, in some way, being your first.
I think the only way that I could make it work was to start with a blank document, and the bits that needed to be kept in, I would actually when I got to them, I would rewrite them in, but in either using my own dialogue or not, but I would actually write it in myself. So I was going through it and it was kind of mine, because otherwise I think it's just very difficult to get that distinct voice running throughout it. And I think as a writer, you do want to have your imprint. It needs to be cogent and it needs to be throughout, because otherwise you get these sort of overproduced sort of scripts where with lots of different writers on it, it can feel quite schizophrenic. So that's how I did it. I started afresh and wrote it all. And if I needed to keep things in, I would just rewrite them out. And for some reason that was quite useful. But I mean, it still took a good 2 years to get that made. 2-3 years. Yeah.
I mean, these days it seems to be normal. It just seems to be the normal amount of time. When I first started trying to make films, I was like, why isn't it happening now? We've got a script, everyone wants to go. It just doesn't. Things take time. The Dare's 6 years in total. I think Arthur and Merlin was just the quickest I've ever had. You know, from we were shooting in November last year, November, December, and it came out in April. So it was like such a short turnaround, and that it's unheard of. It's kind of just unlikely.
Was it in development before, and then you were attached quite late in the day, Giles? Oh, really?
No, I was attached, but it was literally a couple of months before that. Their script had been written maybe a year before, so yeah, I suppose you're right. The script, but then that got totally reworked, and almost a month before shooting, and then let's go. Isn't it crazy how sometimes it can be that quick? They knew their route to market, though. It's Signature again. So they knew their route to market with, if we make this by this point, we can pre-sell it for this amount and get it on the shelves on this date. Done. So that's already sold. So therefore, you have to deliver the movie, even if your post's not totally finished, because they're the dates they need it by. But that's their strategy.
And was it a question of, that's the money you've got? So if you needed another VFX shot, was it like, nope, that's all you've got. You've got literally that, and that's it.
No, we could ask. That was the thing. You could ask if you explained why you needed it. You'd try and move. Lucinda and Jeet were fantastic with the budget and try to move things around. But most of the time, it was like, look, we just need. If you just another, whatever, £500 for that shot, you could then get that VFX, which would make it look nicer. But we're talking. You're in a really small amounts. It wasn't like, oh yeah, no worries, here's another 50 grand, go shoot something else or whatever. Definitely not. But but like you say, it's so unheard of that happens. It's usually it takes so long. CJ, yours were long as well. I mean, it's right.
Yeah. My first feature, the micro budget Freak Out, which I made many years ago, that was evenings, weekends, myself and pals just shooting. I think we've mentioned many times before, it was more like shooting 30 short films and stitching them together. It took about 4 years to make. So that's not I don't think any films are made that way, really. Second film took a while to get going, maybe about a year. There was a script and another producer. It got developed with other people. Just nothing. We didn't quite fit. It wasn't quite seeing it the same way. And then some other producers saw a short we'd made. They picked it up and they made it. So maybe, probably about 3 or so years. Fanged Up, the more recent film, was completely different, as in, I think, when was it? Early October, I get the email. You've been recommended as a director. We'd like to chat to you. And I think November the 14th, I was on set, first day of shooting. And that included a full script rewrite as well. So it was pretty breakneck. Yeah, it's pretty insane. So, third time was completely
And
different.
that came out how long after you'd finished shooting? It was
2 years to the day, I think. I don't know, maybe a bit less, because we had Fright Fest, and then it came out in Fright Fest, and then a year later it got released officially. So maybe a year and a half or so from shooting to release.
So that's what I mean. These things take time. There's no everyone seems to think that it's quick. It's not. For those newcomers out there, films aren't quick. People aren't returning your emails straight away. Get used to it. It's a long process. Have more than one project is my massive advice. So you're now, Jordan, you're in this sort of world. You're suddenly now writing a feature film that I imagine you were getting some money for, which is just different level, which is incredible. For anyone to get paid to write something is just, you must feel amazing. And during this time, you're acting. You're doing some great work. I mean, I loved you in Victoria. Yeah, I thought you were fantastic. And you also did Love and Friendship and Darkest Hour. You were working. So were you juggling everything at the same time?
Yeah. I mean, that's very kind. I don't know if I was good in any of them, but
Again, we bring ourselves down, don't we? We can't take a compliment as English people. No, I was terrible. My film's terrible.
I was laughing out loud then because Jordan's reaction to your when you mentioned him acting, he sort of like shook his head like, "Oh my god." Jordan, why that reaction?
I don't know. It's just the worst thing. I mean, I thought that the kind of cringe of watching yourself act wouldn't be the same when you write things. But actually, when you write things, it's even worse. It's so excruciating, like sitting in a I went to some of the test screenings of these two, and it's just so painful. I don't know why. I hate every minute of it in a way. I just find it unbearable. I don't know what you guys feel about it. I find it unbearable, because like if I'm on stage, I can kind of modulate what I need to do to get the reaction I want out of the audience, which is basically laughter. And if a joke, which they often do, falls flat, you're just like, well, that's forever now, and that will fall flat until I'm dead, and that's it.
Yes.
And you just think,
so true.
What was I doing? But it's important to do that, and I think actually you learn. What is it? David Mamet says that the best way to be a writer is to have your work read out loud and then to be humiliated by it, and it has been the biggest learning curve because you just never want to experience that again. So you do everything you can when you're in your pants and holding onto your testicles and writing, so as not to get that, to get it right.
I find it excruciating too. Watching your own work back in a crowded cinema or in front of the execs when you do a test screening. Oh my God, that was, I couldn't breathe. My fingers had all clammed up and I couldn't clench them anymore. And I thought, I'm going to have a panic attack right in this cinema here. All the lights come up afterwards. Oh my God.
I always say that it's so weird when you've done film school or whatever your path is, but when you first start out, you're desperate to make stuff, and you're even more desperate to show it to people. That's the thing you think. That's the thing you dream in your head. You're so excited about showing it to people. And the thing I hate the most now, the thing I detest, is sitting in a cinema with people watching my film. It's the worst. And why is that? I sort of destroyed the thing I love in a way, but I still want to do it. I want to do it again and again and again. But I hate the bit I thought I would always love. Why is that? I don't know.
I think it's important. I think it's important when you are in the execs room and all of that, to repress that as much as possible. I think you do have to be enthusiastic and positive about it, and it is definitely against the English way of approaching one's own work. But it is important, just because it's not perfect and not how you want it to be. You've kind of got to let go of that. You've got to accept the fact that it's always going to be an unfinished project. It always could have been better. Even the greatest masterpieces could have carried on through editing processes and probably made them better. But there is a point in which you have to let go and just say, well, that's what that is. And I mean, the nice thing about that big time delay is that I'm now, because I made these two films ages ago, I now feel like, well, I know much more what I'm doing. I've got other projects I can focus on, and that is the best. You've got to kind of just look forward and just learn to learn to love your mistakes in a way, because it is. I'm just starting out on it, but it is it's a long journey, and hopefully I'll be. The big worry is that it's so shit that you'll never be able to make a film again. I think that's the thing that we all kind of really worry about. But
that is the worry, yeah. It's great advice. It's so true. You have to just try and forget about it. Otherwise, you're going to be tinkering forever like George Lucas, and your films are just, you're always going to think, and it's done. People enjoy it. People hate it. Deal with it. It's fine. Yeah, it's okay. Exactly. You've made a movie. Move on to the next one. Get better. Learn from it. That's all you can do. You can. But we do procrastinate, and we do get hurt by reviews, and we do get injured and burnt. And oh my God. But if someone's saying, oh, don't worry, we want you to write another one or direct another one, you're going, well, okay, well, I must be doing something right, So why Two Heads Creek? Let's come to this now, because you started to write off the rails. You were developing that, as I can see, and then you came up with Two Heads Creek. Again, was this something for you to star in? Did you always think, I'm writing this to be in it? What was the process there? The
idea always was that I would that I'd be the lead in it. It was going to be quite a tall order, because financing, film financing, depends so much on the talent. I didn't have a massive. I think Victoria kind of helped my image and help my sellability, and it took the producer having a lot of faith in that and in my work, which I was really grateful for. Talent is the most important thing, and in terms of advice on talent, I do personally think that a good handwritten letter to a star if that's what you need to get your film made, can go an awful long way. And I've written so many of these letters. I've got actually unsent ones right in front of me here, because I don't know. I think you've got to realize with actors is that they're also very nervous, anxious people who don't really know what the future looks like for them, and you can speak to them on a human level in a way that a producer can't, because a producer's always kind of looking at producers rightfully are kind of more exploitative when it comes to talent. They're thinking, well, they're thinking about the bottom line, which is what they need to do, whereas you can talk to the heart of somebody, and you can tell your story, why you want them to do it, and it can be a really, really good way of getting them on board early, which will make your project just so much more valuable. That's my new strategy, is just get the talent attached early, and then things tend to fall into place a lot easier down the line, or at least people will answer. If you've got those big names, people will answer emails. I mean, in Off the Rails, when Judi Dench got attached to it, that just propelled its value hugely. And it already had a really good cast attached to it, but they just changed the game. So if you can somehow do that, and I do, unless you know these people somehow, I do think handwriting a letter, I always spray mine with a bit of Aqua de Parma as well. If you want to know my real secret, anything you can do to grab the attention, because not to sound too wanky, but I have received handwritten letters from people who've seen me on TV and stuff, and it's always those handwritten ones as opposed to the sort of slightly strange dick pics you get sent on Instagram. Though, it's the handwritten letters that you reply to, and sometimes the dick pics if they're really nice dicks. It's fine, don't worry. I have to say, Veet is what you need. But honestly, handwrite them, and then you'll.
I think I love that advice as well.
How do you, in handwriting, in your beautifully handwritten letters, how do you deliver? What's your mode of delivery to the star without
good point.
Hanging around a stage door, or how did you get your letters?
Scan it in.
Well, I should. No, I won't read you out the one that I can see in front of me because it's just too cringy. But I think it's always about. I think always start. Flattery goes a long way, because we are dealing with narcissists. Myself included. There's flattery is good. Say what you've seen them in, I think, is a really good thing. Try not to go for the obvious thing. For me, I always think that if you've seen an actor on stage, that's usually something that they're incredibly proud of, and there will be a lot more evocative a memory for them. And then I would go with I'd go by telling them a bit about yourself, and that. Make it as personal as possible. Personal is everything, and make them feel like a human being. Make yourself feel like a human being, and then you're not basically asking a kind of $1 million star to add $1 million to your budget, which is fundamentally what you're doing. You're actually saying, well, look, I would really like to work with you as a person because I think you're a really interesting person. I'm an interesting person, X, Y, and Z, and this is a really interesting story. So it's an exciting prospect. That's my method. I mean, if everyone does it, then maybe it won't work. I don't know, but I do think it goes a long way.
I agree. But I think what CJ was asking, and maybe it was broken up a little bit, was how do you get the letters to the stars?
You mustn't let me just nonce on endlessly for a minute.
It was great.
You can. How do I get? Usually, I just send them to agents. If you have a producer already, then give them to the producer, and it's kind of the producer's job to figure out the best way to get them read. But agents do, pass these things on. You've just got to try and make sure that it doesn't get lost in the kind of fan mail box, as it were.
Well, what we've started to do now, and on my latest project, we have done videos to the talent. So me and my co-writer literally present, and then we put images over the top of their films or them and explain why. But it's more, I suppose it's much more personal, and that way I can send it in an email as an attachment to say, put it on Vimeo or whatever. So that it's because you're a lovely guy. So therefore, if you're talking to the camera, it engages a little bit more, and you know, you can try and be funny or try not to do it in your pants with your testicles out might be a better way to approach it. It depends who you're approaching, you know what I mean? But I think that would be...
That's a really good idea. Basically, why that works is that it's obvious that you've put effort into it, and you'd have to be, you know, at the end of the day, these stars are people, and they will appreciate if you've gone to those lengths. And, you know, it's difficult not to reply when someone's really taken the time. And it's not too creepy. Don't be creepy. I mean, that's the best.
Don't be creepy. That's the thing. Talking of creepy, because Two Heads Creep is great. But how? Again, let's talk about. We were nearly there in talking about how you actually came up with the idea. Why you want something that you wanted to be in. It's great. I love that we're going all over the place. This is going to be a really cool podcast. How did you? You'd sort of go, right, okay, here's the idea. Because wasn't it originally set in Norfolk? Is that right? You were setting it down that lines, and it changed obviously over producers coming in and you starring in it potentially rather than getting someone else. Talk us through the process of writing it and what changed.
So it was just about where the money kind of came from fundamentally, and because this sort of Australian gold mine appeared on the horizon, it was quite easy to transpose this sort of heavily this big obvious swipe at nationalism to an Australian context. And the outback is just as inbred as Norfolk, so it kind of fitted nicely.
As your lawyer.
No, I think it's okay. I mean, I know Norfolk really struggles with this sort of inbreeding thing, but I read a book called Waterland when I was growing up about inbreeding in Norfolk, and it's got a long history of it, and it's something you should be proud of. It really did, yeah.
So the story is it's basically about a timid butcher and his drama queen twin sister, and they quit the hostile confines of a post-Brexit Britain and adventure to Australia in search of their birth mother. But the seemingly tolerant townsfolk are hiding a dark, meaty secret. I love it. It's a comedy horror, and I love the vegan angle. Being a vegan, I was like, this is cool and funny and really relevant. And even though the fact that you filmed this a while ago, or you wrote it certainly, you know, maybe a couple of years ago at least, the fact that you had all these elements in that felt very current and felt very real seemed to me brilliant and really enjoyable. How did the idea come about to do something like that? And fun and dark and twisted.
So, I mean, I wrote kind of a kind of blueprint of it, just about cannibalism in Norfolk. I don't really know why I ended up doing. I really, really can't tell you the real reason I ended up doing that, and it makes no sense. I always want to do something about cannibalism. I got obsessed with cannibalism after university for some reason, and I love.
Why wouldn't you?
Silence of the Lambs, which I watched far too young, which explains an awful lot about me. And then basically Brexit all happened, and I thought, oh, well, that's quite an interesting kind of angle to take with this. I watched loads of 1970s cannibal films, and they were usually Italian. They were usually crap, and they all follow the same thing, which was a woman usually goes missing in the Amazon forest, and her brother or sister goes out looking for them, and lo and behold, they've been eaten by kind of a village of cannibals. And it had these kind of really, really heavy racial overtones to it, and it was and the kind of cannibal myth was a way of othering natives, quote unquote. So it was quite easily transposed to that big political moment in time, and gave it gave the sort of silliness a bit more of a bit of a satirical bite. I mean, it's not subtle in any way, and I kind of never wanted to make it subtle. But that's how it kind of. So I remember the day of the referendum result, David Dimbleby was reading out the kind of shock result, and he'd obviously been up all night, and he was bleeding from his mouth and his eyes were blue, and I just thought, well, this is horrific. I mean, what a time to write it. So that's when it kind of changed its angle. The other thing to say about this long period of time between coming up with the idea and making it is that it will change so much, whatever you write in development, and you mustn't resist that change. you must resist certain changes if you feel very strongly about it, but do let it evolve, because that's what's quite nice about films, is that they are constantly evolving. And I've always been, for me, I was shocked by how different the end product is to that first spark of an idea. And yeah, it's quite amazing in a way.
How did you manage to get Jane Chard and Judd Tilliard on board as your producers? Were they on from an early stage with you on this?
Yeah. So Jane came to that reading, and then Jane met Judd at a producers conference, and that's where the idea took a new route to Australia, because there was money, there was a place to film out there. Judd had this town in the outback of Australia that he had some connection with the pub and it just all weirdly fell into place. It was very unexpected, and we adapted the story to make it match its audience, and it was very strict in terms of the divide between the co-production, which was sort of 10% English and 90% Australian, and it meant that my co-star had to be Australian to make it work. And luckily, I knew this actor. I knew Catherine, who is an English actor, really, but she happens to be Australian. So it kind of, I don't know, it magically just all made sense.
So at what point did your director get involved? Did the script change with their involvement, or what was the process there?
Jesse got involved probably about a year before we shot, I think. We had... We'd actually taken it to a few other directors, but it didn't. The kind of magic wasn't there. But with Jesse, there was a connection. He really got the story. It spoke to him, and then it changed an awful lot actually when he got on board, because he's a writer director, so he engages with scripts in a brilliant way. And I think most directors nowadays are kind of writer directors, aren't they?
You kind of have to be in some way. You do. I certainly am, but I know, CJ, you will really work on the script with the writer. So you wouldn't say you're a writer, but you're rewriting it through the writer, I suppose, in some way. You're putting your stamp on it.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
When Jesse came on board, though, it was like it was just an amazing breath of fresh air, because we really went through like hours and hours and hours, pages and pages, and it was just so nice that he had completely visualized in his own way what I'd written, and then it was about figuring out, kind of just sharing that vision together for a time. So that was an incredibly collaborative process, and he was brilliant at it, absolutely brilliant.
Been there before. I've worked with a writer/star. So how was it for him and yourself and that relationship as a writer/star? Because were there ever times where you saw it one way, he saw it another, and you would insist on wanting to play it a certain way, but he was interpreting it visually a different way? How did that all come together, fall apart, come back together again?
There were lots of arguments, but they're not bad arguments. I actually think passionate arguing is good before you get on set. I think it's really important that everyone interrogates as much as possible and really says what they feel. So yeah, we argued about certain points. There's no doubt about it. And I was vindicated on the ones that I stuck with, and he was vindicated on the ones that he stuck with. And it kind of, it made sense, and we understood each other when we got down to shooting. I think when we started shooting, he let me off the kind of writing responsibility outside of if there were problems with the story that the actors had flagged and stuff. I was on set, so I would answer those queries. But he really just it became his baby, and I was quite grateful for that, because he took the reins. The really sad thing about writing films, for me, it's not sad necessarily, but it's something that I've learned, and why I'm interested in the future to moving into directing, is that when you're developing the script, it's the writer's project. When you're on set, it's the director's project. In the edit, it's half the director's project, and then suddenly it becomes the producer's project, and that's the final. That's the final sort of share of power. And I think
absolutely
it's not the same with television in any way, but with film, that is the structure. And unless you're an exec producer on your films, that is how it goes down. And that was great with Jesse, because I was really relieved as an actor that he was just taking complete charge of the story and what he wanted it to be. Because as an actor, I don't want to be in my writing mind. I don't want to be in my naked pants in my room. I want to be kind of present and, and playing with the other actors. And he let me do that. And then in the edit where the film's actually made, it's another arguing session. As you must both know.
Totally. Yeah. That's the stage where the film really comes together. In the edit, you see what you missed, you see what you've got. You can reshape a whole performance. You can cut someone out if you want. You can make someone else the lead. So many things can change in the edit.
I've dubbed over entire performances in some quite well-known films. It's my voice, and the poor actor they didn't like the voice of it. He just got completely cut out, and it's just all ADR. I remember a whole scene I was doing, and this poor guy, because he couldn't quite get the English accent right. I won't say what film, but it's extraordinary what you can do in an edit.
Yeah, I've been there, Not certainly in terms of having to get an actor who wasn't quite on board on set and get them in post. They'd almost found their feet by the end of the shoot. So when we came to post, it's like, well, let's ADR this. Now you've got the character. Let's look at it again, and with some really careful editing, completely reshape the performance with some heavy ADR and heavy editing.
Amazing.
But it worked. It's all good.
So basically, Jordan, you're saying that really, as a writer, you kind of want to have an exec producer credit, so that you are allowed in the edit room and you are allowed some say on how the film is actually going to end up.
I think it's a good idea if you can get it. I mean, it's not the end of the world if you don't, because fundamentally, it is about working with people that you trust. I think that's a really important thing to do. But having that say. I mean, I was very lucky because I was always included in the edit in the films, even though I wasn't contractually kind of obliged or had the right to do so. But it would, for me, feel quite weird if, as a writer, it was just like, well, you've done what you need to do, and we'll take it from here. I think it needs to happen, because I think the director needs to, especially with film, you need that singular voice. I think it's always nice to have a say, isn't it?
Well, it is, especially when you've written it and you're starring in it. You want to have that say. You do. Yeah. As a director, I want to have my say. If you're just the writer, and I say that in the nicest possible way, it's still amazing. You've managed to write a film that has been produced, that is out there, and even if it's not getting great reviews, that's when you can say, "Oh, they changed it. That wasn't my film I wrote," or whatever. You've always got that power. So I think it's a fascinating journey making films, and you'd never guess what it was like when you started out and you're writing plays. You'd never think it was what it is. And it's just so many things can go wrong. There's so many balls in the air, literally, in your bedroom.
My testicles have become a real theme of this podcast. Which
I might even name this episode the testicle episode.
We try and get into testicles on most podcasts where we can.
It's important, really, to get in there.
When you feel really overwhelmed, how do you change your mindset to thinking, okay, well, especially with the new stuff you're writing now, when you're feeling overwhelmed by it, okay, there's pressure. How do you switch your mindset when you're having a down day or whatever to go, right, I need to concentrate on this?
I have learned just to let myself off. If you're having a bad day, then you're having a bad day. It's probably best actually to walk away and do something else and just take that as a weekend day. I think if you allow yourself, if you say, look, I haven't got a structured life, I'm not working for KPMG, I've chosen to do this. I can take weekends when I want, because there was a time earlier, during lockdown, which I just wasn't taking a day off at all. I was just lacerating myself constantly, and I'll probably forever do that. But sometimes the best thing, and you must both experience this, walking away and doing something else can suddenly just, your mind does that wonderful, weird Proustian thing where it all just slots into place. Going to bed can be the best thing to do sometimes. Getting really drunk can be the best thing to do sometimes. I mean, it's just
Cocaine, heroin, crystal meth, it all.
Cocaine is just, I just miss those days. Yeah, those halcyon days. I think do something else is my big bit of advice. If you're butting against the right blocking wall.
I think that's good advice. Good, spot on.
Have you got better at saying no to things? Because, like I say, when we were talking earlier about when we first started and how we're desperate to get things made and please like my script and like me, etc. Have you, because you're established now, have you got to the point, like me and CJ, where we can say no to things? Have you found it easier to say no to things? And what's your advice to doing so?
I'm not very good at saying no to things, to be honest with you. I just usually lie. I know that's a terrible thing to admit, especially on the podcast, but I just, if you really don't want to do something, I just find it's best to lie. You just don't know. You just don't know, because then I worry if I say no to something, then something else falls through, then, maybe I want to, I don't know. Anyway, I'm not good at it at all. I'm not good at being honest. I don't find it easy. But I'm glad that both of you do. I think it's a really important skill to have, and a blessed position to be in.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I definitely don't find it easy.
Could be stupid as well. Maybe, sometimes, Giles, we've talked about this before, but you can say no to the wrong stuff. I said no to stuff which I was like, my spidey sense was tingling. I was like, no, everything about this is all wrong. And then the project went away and someone else made it. I'm like, oh, I was completely wrong about that. So it can go against you as well, is the other way to. So yes. keeping the plate spinning and maybe sort of tentatively agreeing to everything there's some merit to that as well.
Well, the other way to do it is just to say yes to everything. So therefore, your no is a yes. Even if you don't want to, you say yes, 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 and then do everything. You could do that route, which is frightening. But imagine, like say, you're not missing the opportunities. It's just another option. I'm not doing that, but I'm saying someone might want to take that route, because actually it can open up many things. Like CJ said there, saying yes actually could be really useful. But also saying no is a much more powerful thing. And it's fascinating. So what are you working on at the moment, Jordan? What's next? You don't have to say what they are, but in terms of your process and where you are, like you said, you haven't stopped working a lot in this lockdown. Has it been writing?
It has been purely writing. I think I'm going out to shoot something in Monaco.
I love that. I think I'm off to shoot something in Monaco.
Which is like my only slightly wanky thing that I can say. I think it might all fall through because of COVID, but that would be nice. Yeah. But it's not, it's not massive. No, acting's been pretty slow, I think, for everybody. All of my friends are going through a really tough time. I think it's really difficult. I'm really grateful that I write. It's been a really important, soothing, therapeutic thing for me to do. So in terms of what I'm doing next, I've got a lot of TV stuff in the pipeline.
Acting or directing and writing?
Writing. I've written about 3 pilots that are all kind of ready to go, and there will be a big backlog because presumably everybody's been doing what I've done over lockdown and just written loads. So we're pitching them at the moment. They've got some good people attached to them, so with any luck, they will get the green light. Who knows? And then I've got, in terms of film stuff, I've got another 2 films that have been commissioned. So they'll be made in 2035 probably.
Yes, probably.
Yeah, exactly.
Then absolutely. But how amazing! Congratulations! What a journey you've had, and to now be commissioned to write it's a dream for so many people out there listening, and it's amazing you've got there, and well done. And it's from hard work, perseverance, and you getting off your ass and going, well, I'm going to put play on, I'm going to write it, I'm going to invite people. That's huge. People don't realize how important it is to do that stuff and be proactive and make shit happen for yourself. And you've done that, and it's a great achievement.
The most important thing that I could say to anybody out there is that the nicest thing about our industry is that there really are very few rules when it comes to putting things on. So just have the balls. If we go right back to the fundamental theme of this whole podcast, it's all about just having the balls just to put yourself out there and write these letters to people, send these homemade pornographic videos to to talent. I mean, just there's no way of getting through it. You don't always have to wait. You might have to wait for an email every now and again, but you can break the rules. Don't think that you are constrained to follow any set path, because the nicest thing about being a freelance creative psychopath is that you are in charge of your own destiny to a certain extent, if the producer's right.
Jordan Waller, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for chatting with us. I've really enjoyed this. It's been really chilled and fun, and really like that. Where can people find you on the social media to bother you and send you naked pictures and cock pictures and stuff?
I don't do Twitter because it's too scary for me, but I do kind of read Twitter every now and again. But no, I'm on Instagram as myself, Jordan Waller. You know what? That's about it, really. That's as far as I go.
That's where you go. That's fine. If you really want to find you there, or send him a perfumed handwritten letter to his agent and see if you can get hold of him that way. CJ, where can people follow you?
At CJamesDirect on Twitter, but like Jordan, I don't tend to touch Twitter too much. I find it cold and not a fun place to be.
Shocking.
Insta, I tend to keep more personal. I think I do anyway. I think it's private. But before I go, Jordan, I love your collection of bowls in that cupboard over your left shoulder.
Do you want to see something really good? Look at this.
Yeah, I sort of saw a dismembered head. Giles, I've been looking at this the whole time.
Look at that.
Oh, the whole way through.
So
look at this head.
basically, Jordan has now got hold of a what would you call it? Describe it for everyone, please, Jordan.
So this is the severed head of Clive, who features in the film Two Heads Creek. I think he's, strictly speaking, my uncle. And Jesse O'Brien, the director, said that I could keep it, but it disintegrates because it's made of something. So I have to spray it with this alcohol solution, which I do kind of every week. And he's kind of going under the eye a bit, but he's a beautiful thing. And sometimes I put him in my bed to scare sexual partners, of which there have been very few recently.
Of course.
But
this
it's
is amazing. Look at that. Because fascinatingly, we had 4 of them on the Dare. And when we were supposed to shoot this scene, they were all going on spikes at the end of the Dare. It's the original end of the Dare, so it's not a spoiler. And by the time we got to shoot this scene, because when we were supposed to shoot it snowed, so we couldn't go out and shoot. The next time we could actually shoot this scene was a year later, a whole year later, when all my casts were available, the studio was available, and we could actually shoot it. So these heads have been squished in a box in some vault somewhere. They pulled them out, and guess what? On that day, it snowed again, a whole year later. So we said, well, we're going to shoot anyway. But they brought these heads out, and now they're all squished and just look a bit, squished. So you have to look after them.
You do have to look after them.
But we cut them from the film because of that. We changed the ending.
Jordan looks after his heads, clearly.
Jordan looks after his head.
I polish my head every evening.
It's so important. Two Heads Creek is out now in the UK. Go watch it. It's amazing. This has been so much fun. Remember, you can go out there and make your indie film. You can make it happen. Write letters, put perfume in them, stand in your room, in your pants with your testicles out, whatever it takes to get your film made, then go make it. And if you're lucky enough to rise up and do well, it is your duty to send the elevator back down. You can follow us at FilmmakersPod. If you want to be on the podcast, then get in touch. filmmakerspodcast@gmail.com. Jordan Waller, you are a star. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much for having me.
Pleasure. Everyone, take care. CJ, bye-bye.
Bye. A delayed bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. See you guys.